Hello. This is to be a movie about flying.
In 1903, on the plains of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, this history began. In the granddaddy of all modern planes, the Wright brothers won immortality by sustaining flight in a heavier-than-air flying machine. There is no fuss or ceremony, no cheering crowds. The motors sputter and catch, weights drop, the ship catapults off the ground into the air. Since then, aviation history is written in a never-fading book of records.
I can't believe that's what they started with. It just, there's nothing to it. It's just wood and fabric. Apparently it was just a horrible handling airplane too. So for someone who had no flight experience really whatsoever to just get in an extremely hard airplane to fly, it's amazing.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this thing out on the runway with the engine running, taxiing down the runway and lift off, and I hope it happens before we all conk off from old age.
When I tell them what I'm working on, they're completely mesmerized. They just, everyone knows of the WrightFlyer, and seeing it in actuality flying, it's going to be a unique thing. There has been a lot of replicas made, but very few flying replicas. So this was designed for that, and that actually is part of the intrigue to me.
We're going to crank the engine. I want to check a voltage reading over here.
You're cranking without, no, wait, you gotta plug it in.
Right.
Well, you're saying something different.
I decided to go over to the Air and Space Museum, the one that subsequently burned, and just to see the airplanes. And it was there I saw a WrightFlyer, and I was really, I swear to God it's true, I was really struck by the fact that I did not know why it looked the way it did. So that's what really started me going. And then after I got into the story, I realized that nobody had really tested a full airplane. They're famous for doing their wind tunnel test, but all they've tested was the wind section. And well, it's very important to test the whole airplane to know what it was like.
At the time, I was a committeeman of the Los Angeles section in charge of special projects. And that allowed a lot of leeway for creativity, like special projects. And so, by golly, when we lost that airplane, I thought it would be a wonderful thing if we could build another WrightFlyer airplane and go one step further to fly it under controlled conditions and measure the results and do a really good flight test job on it.
My philosophy is you don't want to ever forget history, because history will bite you ultimately in the future. So this is history. This is history. This is actually working history for us. We're building and creating it from their plans we got from the original WrightFlyer. We were able to use those and build the airplane, modify it as we saw fit for safety and stability reasons.
Well, about 14 years ago, I heard that they were going to make a wind tunnel model and fly a wind tunnel model, full scale, of this flexible airplane. This is something that I don't think has been done before, and so I was very fascinated to get into the huge wind tunnel, and so that's why I joined. Then when the test was over, I thought I was going to quit, but then quitting is sometimes hard. You know, you meet a lot of neat people, and you think, why do I want to stop doing this?
I personally have enjoyed more is just the number and quality of the people that you meet. That it would be very hard to put together a team in the commercial world with that kind of background that works together that well, because you simply couldn't afford it, but they come out on Saturday morning and work for nothing. So, very interesting group of guys, no question about that.
We're really looking forward to providing a better home, a good permanent home of itself for the WrightFlyer project, because it's not only going to be the airplane itself, but there is a whole educational program which the WrightFlyer volunteers have built around that. The WrightFlyer is where it all began. I mean, all of us get up every morning and say, thank you, Wilbur, thank you, Orville. And to have the most authentic flying WrightFlyer replica at Flaybob and actually fly here becomes a cornerstone of our historic preservation and of our educational activities, because how the Wright brothers did it is so inspirational, and the Wright brothers, so it fits into our educational model very well. And of course, you know, it just makes everybody grin, which is no small feat in and of itself.
The idea is that in the long run, we'll raise sufficient funds to essentially set up an endowment, because all people working on this project have finite lifetimes, of course. The airplane has a much longer lifetime than we do, we hope. And we hope the airplane will be around at the airport to be available for people to look at and occasionally fly.
Well, you know what, I think that this is a wonderful chance. What has already started out at this novel, unusual, magical place, to have a museum dedicated to the high quality engineering genius of these two guys, who in the literature are not recognized as high quality engineering genius of the first water, but more like tinkerers who were lucky. Not true. They were smart. All of the early courses in aeronautical engineering used data that was generated from their efforts and subsequent efforts by NACA and others. They were natural engineers of great caliber. That's what the museum should bring. That thought, with demonstrations where people can convince themselves that, by golly, that was amazing.
The WrightFlyer project, I'm happy to say, is now an integral part of the Tom Wathen Center here at historic Flabob Airport in Riverside, California. The Tom Wathen Center is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and its purpose is to use the fascination of flight to inspire lifelong learning of people of all ages, especially young people. Having the WrightFlyer here is an important part of that mission, because it was the WrightFlyer that started it all. We have an incredible display of models of airplanes, over 750, which shows the whole history of aviation. And we have on the walls a whole series of displays that further serves to educate and entertain people who come here of all ages. Having the WrightFlyer here at Flabob guarantees it a permanent home and enables us now to think about what next. I mean, the building of the WrightFlyer replica is itself an amazing accomplishment. But folks, as the man said, you ain't seen nothing yet.